Party, 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 party.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Spoiler Alert. It's an HEA. I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Julie. Hi, you guys.
I love how you had to sing your name there.
Sing my name when no one is around you.
Say baby
No, say, Julie, I love you.
while you're playing games.
Never. How was your weekend? What you been doing?
Absolutely nothing, as I am exhausted. What did you do this weekend? Or I guess so. Your weekend's not over. You still have more time, but
What is a weekend?
the 2 days where you do as much as you can before you again have no time to do anything.
Well, I'm being dragged to brunch tomorrow.
Sounds like torture.
It absolutely is because I don't want to go.
I wouldn't. I have plans like the grocery store.
That would be ideal. Then I'm supposed to meet Bestie at mommy's house because somebody is trying to start planning stuff for me. Yeah, not you. Don't clap. That's your job, fool. You should be here planning. Sister of the what, huh?
What?
She's planning wedding stuff for me.
I love that. What is she planning?
You know what? Goodbye. I'm done talking to you.
I'll be okay. One, I I looked at the messages sent me.
Oh, did you not respond to her?
I did.
You looked at the messages she
Oh, you
okay.
know what? Hold on. I should not even say her name like that. Okay. Delete all of that, editor, please. I will message your best friend about wedding stuff, and
Don't do me any favors.
I'm
Lose her number, lose
totally
my number.
totally gonna do it because I can help with bridal shower
You
stuff.
can help. You're supposed to plan it, fool.
I can plan it. I'm not a good planner. I plan trips.
I'm
You,
done.
do you not
I'm
remember me
done. I'm
planning my own birthday
done.
party?
I'm done.
Are we canceling this wedding? Are we calling it off?
Too much money.
Are you that done? Oh, okay. You're not that done then.
Ay, ay, ay.
Anywho, moving on from our random aside ongoing conversation.
I just can't. I need to go lay down. I'll see you later.
This week, we are going to be talking about a recent read of ours, Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This book was released earlier this year, and this book was definitely a different book from previous Ali Hazelwood books that I've read before. And yeah, it's a bit less of a rom-com, as she notes in her author's note, and more so of a erotic romance. So
Oh, yeah?
yeah,
I
she
missed that part. I drink books. I drink books. I read books like I drink water. It's all going in. And do I remember how much I drink? No. Do I remember what brand of water it is? No. Do I know when I drank it? Mm-mm.
fair enough. But yeah, this is different than what she's done before. So excited to be talking about this book with y'all today.
Okay, so let's get started. So we start the book off with our main character, Rue, who's a scientist with her best friend, Tisha. And once I read her name was Rue, I was like, I loved Rue in the Hunger Games. And that's on my baby name list. But then also Rue died so terribly. And I'm like, maybe that's a bad name for a baby. But I was like, I like it.
Rue's cute, and you can name your kid whatever. Someone has died pretty much attached to every name out there.
Maybe. Unless I make up my own name.
Don't do that.
Watch me hold my beer. All consonants, one vowel. I'll let you know what it is when I figure it out.
Oh God, don't do that.
Yeah. Okay. So Rua and her best friend Tisha, they are at work and they got a company-wide email
Those are the
saying that
worst.
I don't work for a company, so we don't get those.
You're
Um,
lucky. They're some of the most terrifying emails out there to get.
yeah. I
Terrifying.
just gotta work every day. And I'm like, cool, I got a job.
No,
You can't fire me.
there you go. Invite to meeting, no context. Everyone is messaging, being like, do you know what's happening? Do you know what's going on? And
And even if you know, you can't say
yeah, they're
because you're
lying
gonna get
to
fired.
you. Yep. Sorry for screaming there. Been through
Yeah,
some trauma in the
a
workplace,
little
clearly,
bit. Sorry, girl. You got this. You are exactly where you're supposed to be.
as they say.
Umi said that to us, and so did Janae at the concert the other day.
Oh my goodness. Okay, parasocial interneting. The owner of Steamy Lit was at the concert for her birthday.
Oh my God, were we sitting in the
So
same section?
no,
No,
she was much closer
shut up. I
based
was
on
close.
the images of Janae.
I was close.
You
I
were
was as close as I wanted to be.
for sure. But yeah, I was looking at Melissa's Instagram, and I saw her post that, and I was like, "Oh my God, you're both there."
I know, because that was the place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just surrounded by lovely people who are burning Santo Paulo around the arena and,
Mm-hmm.
smoking
Bad
their stuff.
energy.
I was like, I don't think we're allowed to do that in the stadium.
You totally are. Get rid of the bad energy and then set the mood.
Yes, that is fine. I think the other smells maybe we're not allowed.
Mm.
But I was like, find it, find the person.
You won't.
Good luck.
Security, just go sit. It's
Yeah,
fine.
they did. They did. Okay, so they get this email saying that the loan for the company has been sold or it's been reassigned. And it's like, what does that mean?
Mhm.
So they call Tisha's sister.
So they reach out to me, Tisha's sister, who is a lawyer in New York, and she is basically about to be their Wikipedia. um,
Mhm.
and she basically walks them through like who this group is that has bought the loan and what they can expect as she's a as she is a bankruptcy lawyer. Um and it's a pretty just like whirlwind of a conversation because Rue and Tisha don't understand much of it, being that they are scientists and like they spend all their time just in the lab. But they're basically freaking out.
Tisha's like, Rue, do you know anything? And Rue says, no, I was supposed to hang out with her last night with the owner of the company, Florence, but I had
Florence.
plans, so I didn't get to, go see her. And we learn a little bit about Rue before they get to the meeting that she has a patent with the company because she created this microbial coating agent where it will help
Hmm.
produce last longer. And during this conversation with Neoda, she says that, I own it. I have paperwork saying I own it, but can you review it? And she's like, yeah, girl, I'll look at it. Just give me some time. So we switch perspectives and we meet our other main character, Eli. I feel like Eli is a very romancy name. Like
Yeah,
he's like a lot of main character names for
yeah.
romance books.
Elliot is a very popular name, or Eli. I do think that's correct.
Yeah.
Is it biblical?
Elijah is,
Okay.
not Elliot.
Yeah.
I don't know any Eliots in the Bible. We switch perspectives. We meet Eli, who is telling us about how he met this girl last night who was amazing on this dating app. And this dating app is, I guess it's like a super horny Tinder where
Hmm.
you don't look for relationships at all. You're looking for a hookup. And I'm sure it exists out there, but I don't know what's going on these apps anymore. And he and she agreed that they would go meet at the hotel and they would have a night of fun and never see each other again.
Yeah.
So when he gets to the hotel, he notices her sitting at the bar. And while he's like taking her in. This guy walks up behind her and starts talking to her, and she's explicitly telling him leave her alone, and like the posture, everything is saying no. So after he watches this for a minute, he goes over and he like hulks out and he's like, she said leave her alone, back up, man, what are you even doing? And he is kind of worried about this guy because he goes
Yeah.
outside and he's staring at her still like, he's not dropping this. She said, no, why are you still here? And he was like, well, does he know where you live? And she says, yeah, but he probably can't get into the building. So he offers to sit with her for a little while and wait for the guy to go away and she
Yep.
can call an Uber later.
Yep. But unfortunately, her phone has gotten wet and it's not working. So she can't call an Uber currently.
But I was like, can't he use his phone and call an Uber that will send her to her home?
But then he has her address.
But he's gonna drive her home, so he still has her address.
Yes, but they go back and forth around that for a little bit. Cause
Yeah,
like,
because it's like serial killer.
yeah. And like she's also just trying to like fully shut down their conversation. She's like, I don't want to go upstairs to the room with you anymore. Don't want to hook up tonight. I'm just trying to get out of there.
Yeah, like the mood has been ruined. This
Yeah.
guy is screaming at me. I just don't want to do this.
Yeah. But ultimately, because he's like, he convinces her that like it's just not the safest option getting in a taxi or walking
Okay.
home or whatever. And she's like, well, you can drive me home, but I need to like see your whole entire wallet and send all your information to my best friend, which, yeah, don't trust these fools.
Well, he didn't even like offer. Well, she asked for the whole wallet. He offered the whole wallet
Yeah,
because
he
he
did.
just first took the license and then he was like, you know what? Here, they all say Elijah Kilgore
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
a terrible, gory, murdery name.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, love that.
It's a great serial killer name.
It really is. Be like Elijah Kilgore.
Yeah, she's like, it's not reassuring.
Mm-mm.
No, it makes me uncomfortable, the reader.
Absolutely. And it's like spelled Kill, not even like one L. It's like, no, it's kill.
Yeah, because ancestors were what? Scottish mercenaries? Question mark.
Something?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So they go to the garage and dude, this weird old guy is out there still. But
Yep.
now he's like moved into the parking garage and he's trying to talk to her. And Eli's like, I'm about to mess this man up. And she's like, please don't hurt him. And he's like, okay, I won't hurt him, but he's going to leave you alone. And the guy tries to say, well, you don't know what she did. And he's like, I don't care what she did. She said,
Hmm.
no, that's it. Move away. And he drives her home.
Yeah. And he also finds out that that is her brother, which,
Dun, 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 dun.
yeah,
Vince.
quite shocking. And she's like, our father left us a cabin and it's in Indiana and he and I are disagreeing over like what to do with it and family drama, family issues.
Yeah, and Eli's like, you should take out a restraining order for him because do you think he would hurt you? And she's like, I don't think he would. And he's like, if you're not sure, then you probably should. But she's like, I can't. It's my brother.
Mm.
When he walks her to the door, they share a kiss and she writes her phone number on his hand and marker. And she's like, I hope I hear from him because, it was good conversation the hour they spent together and he was really, really hot. So she's like, man, this would have been great. But then the next day, she's at work with this letter, this email, this
Hmm.
of doom, and
Time for the meeting.
they're standing, and out comes Florence, the owner of our company, and four people. Of course, one of them is Eli because life.
Yes, they are the company that has taken up the loan.
They are Harkness.
Yeah, even the name Darkness, even though
Mm-hmm.
it's named after like
Yeah, like, oh, you're the villain.
So as they're sitting there in the meeting and Bruce sees Eli on the stage, she is absolutely shocked. She's like, he must have known that I worked here. He must have sought me out on the app. And yeah,
And
this,
Tisha's like, isn't that the guy that you sent me his picture last night?
and she's like, yeah, yeah, that's his face. And following the meeting, they immediately run out of the room and head to Florence's office. So Eli does not even get a chance to notice Rue in the audience. Um, and once they get to her office, they wait for Florence to get there. And, they're talking with Florence and she's filling them in on what little information she currently has um, about Harkness. And while they're speaking, like, she's like, Bruce, like, to Florence, I met Eli last night and I was meant to hook up with him. And that's why I didn't answer your call to come over last night. And she's like, well, I'm glad you two didn't start something because, this is likely going to be a messy uphill battle with him and the rest of Harkness.
She also adds that, the Harkness is going to be meeting with the head of every department, which Rue is the head of a department. And she goes to her meeting, and then because, life, of course, Eli is one of the people who are there. And when he
Yep.
sees her, he's like, what?
What are
What are
you
you doing?
doing here? Which is so good because she has the
Yes.
power in
Oh my
knowing.
gosh. It's like I walked in knowing I'm going to see you. I already got my surprise. Now it's
Yep.
your turn. So he makes sure that the two of them are alone. He kicks out the other guy who's in there with them. And he's like, what are you doing here? Did you know I worked here? Did you like put all of this together? And she's like, yeah, no, I had no idea who you were either. I realized who you were when you walked out on stage yesterday
Hmm.
or an hour ago. It was same day. So like just now. And she's like, I'm not really the head of a department. I do my own thing. I just kind of work here and I get paid, but I'm doing my own research.
Yep.
So there's no need for us to do anything.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's actually quite happy to see her.
Yeah.
And he's trying to talk and engage with her. But ultimately,
Well, she tells him, get rid of my
yeah.
phone number.
And like, there's nothing that can be there. And she's like, goodbye. And leaves him in the room.
So later that day, Eli and his associates are at Hark's house, kind of going over the day. They start to kind of like intimate that Florence is hiding something and they're going to figure out what it is because they are going to take biofuel from her. So she created biofuel when she was working at UT. The story takes place in Austin. She's working
Mhm.
at UT and she said that she was working on this program or this science thing
Yeah.
off campus in the lab that she was renting. Because if
Yes.
she was making this science thing on campus, the university would have ownership of it. And she's like,
Yeah.
nah, this is mine.
Yeah. She's like,
So,
I own the patent to this work.
and they're like, we're going to take it from her because biofuel is, it has great potential to make lots and lots of money. And I'm like, look at these hoes just coming in and stealing from this girl who's working her butt off. Poor Florence.
Yeah. That's why Rue and Tisha like respect her so, so much for what
Hmm.
she did while working there.
Yeah, and standing up to the big men at UT and getting her own.
Hmm.
They kind of, his friends, say maybe you should spend some more time with Rue. We know you like her, but she's also really good friends with Florence based on Tisha's Instagram. So if you can, get to know her, maybe she can give you some information that we can't get from Florence. So he doesn't love it, but he's like, you know what? I'll go spend the day in her lab tomorrow and see what she's working on.
In her lab, Rue does this work because of her own lived experience. Growing up, they had food instability in her home. And she, every day when it's time for her to eat, she has like a very set routine where she will like have to sit down and eat her meals slowly and acknowledge that, like she is safe, she has more food, and each bite there is like a guarantee. So she heads into work working on food preservation to ensure that like other children, other families can have fresh food for longer. So as she heads into work this day, little does she know that Eli is planning on popping in.
Oh, yeah, sexy scientist, Eli.
Yes. And she's like, what are you doing here? You can leave. And like her assistant Jay is meant to be coming in to be assisting her. And he's like, I'm just gonna shadow, I'll watch. But then of course Jay gets there and Jay's like, I actually have to do some work for our boss. So if Eli can assist, like that's
That'd be
perfect.
great.
Yeah. So Eli's like, cool, I'm your assistant. Let's do this. And he agrees to spend the day with her, monitoring as she is working.
At one point, they're talking, they're getting to know each other. She's like, he knows a lot of science for being like an MBA guy.
Yes. Yeah.
She's like, okay, cool. And, he kind of starts to talk about them again and this feeling that he feels. And she's like, you know what, maybe. And the lab doors open by Florence,
Of
who
course.
is like, what are you guys doing in here together on the floor picking up this pipette? So, the moment is ruined, of course.
Hmm.
And Rue goes to Florence's office after, and Florence implies that, well, if Eli is willing to take something that's not his, like my biofuel, then maybe he's willing to take other things that people don't give him freely. And I was like, are you accusing this man of like potentially raping somebody? Because that's where my mind went.
Yeah. But then she like ends the conversation too with Rue being like the switch from that sentence and then like her being like, well, how's work going? Are you like almost in with the patent? Is just like,
Red flags.
yeah, it's a lot happening.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, Florence, I think you're shady, girl. What are you doing? What is happening?
Yeah. But she's also like, I think if I'm remembering correctly, Rue's like, do you know Manami? She was with you at UT around the same time. And Florence is like, I don't know who's to say. There was like so many undergrads, which is like, it's just like it's a very weird conversation
Mhm.
sequence. And immediately I was like, this already started off kind of weird.
Yeah, well, I was okay with Florence. I was like, these people trying to take her money. Leave her alone.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, well, when she threw my man Eli under the bus, I was like, I don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
And now
My spidey senses are fully going off.
mhm. So we switch back to Eli's perspective, and the group is meeting again, and they asked Florence, here's Spidey sense number 10. They asked her for paperwork of the accounting,
Yes.
and she gave them paper form for the last 10 years, but everything is paper.
Yeah.
No email accounting, no electronic,
Yeah.
every receipt, everything paper form.
Drown them
And
in
he's
paper.
so it's like, what are you hiding?
Yeah.
You're really trying to hide if you're sending them pallets of paper to look through.
Yeah.
So Hark thinks that he should go hang out with one of his friends who's on the board for Florence Klein's business, her science lab. And he's like, well, let's go to his retirement party and maybe just like get him to ask some questions to the board that maybe will help us out a little bit more.
Yeah.
So of course, Florence is like, oh, Rue, I have a party tonight. Can you come with me? And Rue's like, I love parties.
Love
Put on
dressing
my
up.
fancy dress. Let's go. Let's do it. And when they get there, of course, Hark and Eli are there and
No,
they're
they're
like,
not there yet.
no. First, she has to talk to the guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. So Florence and Rue are stuck talking with the board member whose birthday it is. I think his name's like Eric.
It's not his birthday. He's retiring. That's even better than a birthday.
Honestly, yeah.
Hmm.
So it's his retirement party. And while they're there, greeting him and chatting, of course, in walks Connor and Eli. And they're like, oh, great finding you here. They're chatting for a bit. And Eric takes off with Florence and Connor. And they go off into the party to find his wife because he has to introduce Florence and Connor to her. And
Who's Connor?
Connor's heart.
Listen, girl, we don't call him by his name.
Okay, well, sorry.
I'm here like, did I read the same book as you? Did I
Yeah,
switch
that's
books
true.
after?
That's true. Everyone does just call him Hark. I don't know why I'm like saying this man's first name right now. As they're talking, Eli and Rue, they're both like, it's really, really great to see you here tonight. And maybe they should like start up what they were trying to start the night that they met at the hotel. And they end up kissing, and he's like, meet me at the hotel tomorrow night. And she's like, okay. And before she like heads out, they review like the things that she's okay with. So like her list of things that she would consent to, and then the list of things that she would not consent to, which is really cool that you could like include that on the app.
Hmm.
And they agree to meet at the hotel the following night.
So the next day they meet. Once, they reviewed it one final time to make sure that she feels comfortable, they go ahead and they have sex. And he's like, that was amazing. Let's do it again. And she's like, we are done. It's been great, but I gotta go.
Yeah,
And he's like, wait, what? I'm
yeah.
still like blissed
Processing
out.
and shock.
And she gets dressed and he's like, please, can you stay? And she says, no, I have to leave. And he's like, okay, then this was nice. Bye. And that is it. So they were both hoping that this could be like, let's get out of our system just one time, let's have sex and we're good. But for both of them, this was just like one of the best sessions of their lives.
Yeah.
And they both want to do it again, but they're not saying it to one another because he doesn't want to push her and she doesn't believe in sleeping with somebody more than once because then feelings get attached and, it gets messy for
They
her.
don't then see each other for them like the next week. And he runs into her at work and he's like, like, did I do something wrong? Did I make you uncomfortable? Just like he's checking in and worried that like, something like he did something wrong, like consent was like broken somewhere along the way. And she's like, nope, it was fine. Everything was perfect. And she realized that like she's been stressing about running into him and the uncomfortability of knowing that she did this and that like her hooking up with him would hurt Florence.
So Florence also on the side is telling Rue and Tisha that she's working on finding somebody to buy the loan so that Harkness doesn't buy it and she can get out of this thing with them. So they have these PDs at Klein where they are supposed to read a journal. And I only read journals in college when I was getting my degree in science that I have no use for. But they read these journals and they're supposed to kind of talk about them and nobody was coming. So they said, let's add alcohol. And people started showing up at work to talk about the journals. Rue is there with Tisha, and it's Tisha's night to drive. So Rue had like 4 or 5 beers, and she gets really drunk. And she's like, I'm going to the bathroom. So as she walks to the bathroom, she runs into Eli. And at the last board meeting they had, Florence advocated to no longer have Harkness present at the facility. So she's like, oh my God, I haven't seen him in
Yeah.
forever.
So they have not seen each other since the night that they hooked up with one another. And she is shocked to see him there. However, upon seeing him there, she's like, well, I feel guilty. And I'm thinking about Florence. I'm also thinking back to that night. And I want to be with him again, but I also need to stay away from him. And they have a movement.
They have a what?
They have a moment while they're talking, and she's like, kiss me, and he does. And she pushes it
Mm.
and says that like, I want to sleep with you again. And he's like, no, you're drunk right now. He's like, let's talk tomorrow. Give me a call. And of course, that next day, like she does not call him.
So has something, not something like this, of course, but your previous place of work would have alcohol in the fridge. You had a beer fridge, didn't you?
Yes.
Do people just drink and get drunk on a Wednesday?
Yeah, they had hard liquor and
Oh,
beer.
shut up. That's terrible.
Yeah, but that only came out for parties. But that was in the kitchen, so like anyone had could access it.
So just stay there so people could just be drinking all day at work.
Who knows? Who knows what
Okay.
people were doing? I don't know. But yeah, every Friday was like take one beer. Some people would take two. They had ciders. You should not drink at work. Holiday parties, staff events should be alcohol free.
So my person, his job had a like a community day, I think they called it. No, a company culture day where they all wore logoed outfits to work and they were passing out Prosecco at 9 a.m. And I was like, I'm sorry.
What? Yeah, no.
Wait, did we come to work today to like work? No?
No. Came to
Mm-mm.
waste time and pray that you make it through the day because that's dangerous.
I was like, insane.
Yeah, you could totally drink with your coworkers, just not at work. Like if you have coworkers that you're friendly or friends with, meet up outside of work,
Absolutely.
but not, don't do that at work.
Well, I mean, I can't.
Well,
We will lose our
there
jobs.
you go. Thankfully.
Yeah, you're right.
Those are not my places of work that I have worked
Oh
in,
my gosh.
but nonetheless.
So the next day, Eli's like, of course, she didn't call me. I mean, do I wish she called me? Yes. But he just kind of moves on. And we learned that his parents passed when he was about 25. So he wasn't too young, but he was left to be the caretaker of his 11-year-old sister. And of course, it was really rough. And he also did not have the best childhood growing up. He was a very angry teen. And teachers suggested put him into sports, and he meets Alec, who is the hockey coach.
Sports fix everything.
They're like therapy.
Yeah. Sports therapy is real, for sure. And I see how that worked for Eli. I see why that did not work for Ruth
Hmm.
because she needed to do both sports therapy and then
Yes.
talk therapy.
Hmm. So he knew Alec was amazing. And he's like, well, my sister is now an angry preteen. Alec, here, fix her too. So he puts his sister, Maya, into figure skating, and she really enjoyed it, and it became a good outlet for her. So he gets a text from Alec saying, hey, we're doing this fundraiser for the skate rink. Can you come through? And when he gets there, Rue is there because Rue also was a figure skater for Alec, and she actually went to college on a full ride scholarship, being a student athlete
Yeah.
and figure skater, which I was like, that makes sense. I never thought that was like
Hmm.
a full rideable sport. And now I'm like,
The
girl, duh.
Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's an Olympic sport, you can definitely get a scholarship with that.
Oh my goodness. So he's like, wow, mind blown. Good to see you outside of Klein. Remember that night that you wanted to see me and then you didn't call me? And she's like, oh,
Don't know what you're
okay.
talking about.
Let's just kind of go get water from the water room. And they go to the storage room to get water that they're selling. And he's like, if you want, the offer still stands. And she's like, fine, let's do it. Yes, this will be the second one, second and done. And we're going to move on from this afterwards because I feel terrible of what I'm doing to my friend because of what I'm doing to my friend Florence. You're stealing from her,
Hmm.
but
I
also,
can't stay away.
yeah. So they agree that as soon as they're done helping out, they're going to go to his house.
Yep. And as she gets to his home and like walks inside, immediately there's a dog.
So when I got to this part, I was like, this is what my next dog's name is going to be. I'm getting a Bernese Mountain Dog, and their name will be Tiny.
You should totally get that dog. Do not name it Tiny because it's those dogs are anything but tiny, like Eli's dog
Well,
Tiny.
my person agreed, but he said first name Teeny, second name Tiny. So I was like, Teeny Tiny, come here. And then 100-pound dog. I love it.
That's really funny. Honestly, honestly, that's really funny.
I mean, I was sold. I was like, this is when I was like, I love Eli. You're
Yeah.
my person. You're my newest book person. So we meet Big Fat Teeny Tiny, Tiny. And from the first time they got into his car, they told each other a bad secret
Yeah.
about
They
themselves.
have to share a
Um,
story.
a story that nobody knows because it makes them feel terrible or it could have them look in a terrible light.
Yeah. Well, and also like they want to tell the story and like not be judged or like be asked follow-up questions. It's just like meant to be received. And then like you're like, okay. heard, received, moving on.
So they kind of like move forward, and he asks for a promise that she won't leave until she has 3 orgasms
She
and
won't run
she won't run
away.
away. She has to say goodbye to him. She can't just like dip out.
Yeah.
That was Sandoval.
What?
He said Raquel dipped out
Of their
the night.
relationship?
No, Raquel was the one he cheated
Oh God,
on
yeah.
Ariana with. He was like, she just dipped out, man. She dipped out. And it's like, she dipped out and went to go sleep in your bed. Dipped out.
Yeah. She,
But he's like, nah, she dipped out.
Sandoval made me watch that
Sandoval's the
show for a
worst.
season,
You're welcome.
I guess. You know what? Out of every Bravo series, I will say that is the one that I've enjoyed the most. So
Yeah, Vanderpump was good last season. Not good, but I'm a Bravo girl.
you are through and through. But yeah, Rue agrees to the set of requirements that he lists out, and they again have an amazing night with one another. And she ends up passing out afterwards and wakes up the next morning, and she's like, "What am I doing here? I have not spent the night at a man's house in like ever and forever,
Ever.
ever."
Ever.
And she goes downstairs and she's like, "Okay, getting out of here." And of course, Eli is not there. However, his sister Maya, who looks just like him, is in the kitchen and she's like, "Hi."
And Rue's like, wait, okay, hey.
Yeah.
And Maya's like, how do you know? My brother. And she's like, we met at work. He's trying to buy my company. And Maya's like, oh, tell me about Florence. I picture her being like this evil monster, terrible lady. And Rue is kind of like, how do you even know who Florence is? But she doesn't want to get into it. So she changes the subject, and she's also kind of like inching towards the door because she's like, I tried to say goodbye to Eli and he was not here.
He's walking his dog.
I'm gonna dip out and text him and say I tried to say bye bye. But of course, he walks in. Maya is leaving, but he says, oh, Rue, he says, Maya, did you know Rue? She used to skate with Alec too. And Maya's like, yes, you helped me that one time, and it was so amazing that you did the back crossover double jeté spin move.
Oh my God.
And Rue is like, yeah, no, I don't remember you, girl. Sorry. And Maya's like, well, you were just so great. I never forgot you. It was good meeting you. Bye. So she, of course, Rue does remember Maya because that day Maya was like in tears, sobbing, and Rue just kind of sat with her and didn't say anything because Rue is a girl of few words.
Yeah.
She just kind of said, there's nothing you can say. You just sit there, and then when you're ready, let's try it again. And that was it. So Eli is like, you're about to leave, and I still owe you one more orgasm. And she's like, yeah, but it's fine. We don't need to do it. And he's like, you agreed. And he's like, but if you want to leave, you can leave. And she's like, fine, let's do it. And he says, let's go take a shower. So she agrees to go take a shower with him.
Yep. And once they're done, he asks her to promise that like this won't be the last time because this just can't be the last time for either one of them. And in his head, he's like, I'm in love with her body. And like she's just perfect being here. I want to take care of her. I want her here with me. And she then ends up falling asleep in his bed. And he's like, how am I so lucky to be here with her? And like, what is possible next with them?
So later on, she wakes up and she comes downstairs with her clothes on and her bag on her shoulder because she's like, I'm out.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, I did it. Here you go. But he's like, no, you can't leave because I haven't done that one thing I promised to do for you, which is making a meal. Because his ex-fiance, Mackenzie, said that everybody should know how to make 3 good meals. And I was like, Julie, what are your 3 good meals? I can make nothing very well.
That's accurate. You don't really cook.
Mm-mm. I can make rice,
Yeah.
just white rice though. I can't make rice and peas well still. Actually, my last rice and peas were okay. So she's hesitant for him to cook for her because she has food issues. And she does explain that she has to be able to sit down and she can't be rushed when it's time to eat. So Eli is kind of putting things together with her microbial coding project and now with what he's telling her about food. So he's like, I'm not going to figure out what's going on with you. I'll wait until you're ready to tell me. So he makes her French toast and it kind of leads to her asking about, well, what happened with you and your ex-fiance? And essentially, long story short, he's like, I didn't love her the way that she wanted to be loved. And he knows that. He kind of like has a flashback in his mind of her saying, all you're doing is seeking revenge. You just need to let it go. And this is when I'm like, poor Eli, what did Florence do to you?
So much.
And Rue's kind of like, well, you know what? I get it. Some of us are too broken to be loved or to show love the way other people need. And since they're opening up, he's like, well, let's talk about something that you have mentioned. And on her dating profile, she does not like penetrative
And why is
sex.
that coming out so weird?
It's really hard.
Penet why no, you're making me not be able to say it.
I can't
Right?
say it.
What is that phonetically?
Penetrative.
No, the double pronunciation is what's messing me up in my head. Penetrative. Is it really pronounced? No.
Yeah, I listened to the audiobook.
Penetrative. Why is it sounding so cockeyed?
Okay, let's figure out another way to say this word.
I'm Googling.
Penetrative.
Insertionable sex. Penetrative?
Penetrative.
Penetrative. That's the correct way to pronounce that. I'm like, what the hell? There's like
Penetrative.
Penetrative.
yeah.
Okay.
Why is that like not what is
That was
wrong with
rough.
your audio that was playing that?
And I don't think they did. I told you that was like 2 weeks ago. I was listening to the book.
Okay.
Okay. So, because he's opening up and she's opening up, he decides to ask, why doesn't she like penetrative sex? And he's kind of worried naturally that there's a trauma story. And she's like, there's no trauma, no sad story. It's just, typically with that type, guys are more focused on their pleasure. And then I have to fake it. And it's just, why? Why? Just why?
And it's uncomfortable. Yeah. Why do that?
And he's kind of like, well, you've liked everything that you've done with me. And I think you would like that too, because I know you and I know your body. We should try it. And she's like, you're right. We should try it. Let's do it. So they go upstairs. And of course, he's like, she says, oh, you're going to cure me with your magic dick? And he's like, yeah, girl, I got you. And he cures her because she loves it. Now, while they're upstairs relaxing and she falls asleep, there's a knock on the door.
Thanks so much for joining us this week as we discuss Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. We are going to stop here with this week's episode as we realized we spoke so much about the book that we needed to split it so that y'all weren't here listening to a 2-hour plus podcast episode. So stay tuned for next week as we dive deeper into Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. See you then. Have a good week.